Thanks for joining us. You're watching NTV, Non-Traditional Voices. I'm your host, Della, and I'm here with Sam today. Sam, how you doing?
I'm fine.
Thank you for coming, Sam. Tell us your story.
Okay. My story is long. No, I'm just teasing. I have been going to ETSU since 1976. No, not straight through. But I graduated from high school and started back in 1976, or went to school in 1976. And, of course, I did the party thing, and I got married, and I left and went to Knoxville to live. And I came back in 1994. I was homeschooling my children, and at that time, Tennessee required that you have a bachelor's degree if you're homeschooling high school. Mm-hmm. They've changed that since, and you can do it through a church-related school. But nonetheless, I came back to school trying to beat my children going part-time, and had a lot more hours than I expected. And I was just working to get a Bachelor of General Studies so that I would have the bachelor's degree. And at that time, I found out my grade point average was 1.79, and I was on academic probation. So they're like, well, you do realize that you have to bring up your grade point average. And so I did, slowly.
So was this your average of the grades from when you went to school?
Yeah, when I went in 1976.
Yeah.
I didn't even know it. I left the school,
Yeah.
did not know I was on academic probation. On the wild side,
Yeah, well, it was the 70s.
Yeah, it was definitely the 70s. Mid-70s, too, right?
Yeah.
And I was, on the end of the hippie generation. So, I came back, and I was going part-time while I was homeschooling, and this worked, but I kept having complications due to illnesses, cancer, and some other things, and I had to keep stopping. Mm-hmm. And I was only going part-time. And as they reached the high school years, and they changed the laws, fortunately, and as they reached high school years, I realized, I needed to contribute all my time to their education in high school because I wanted to prepare them if they wanted to go to college, for college themselves. So I stopped again in 2000, and then the last two graduated in 2008 from it was a church-related school. They got a diploma, but I taught them. So, great accomplishment. Can't go on a resume, unfortunately.
Well, it can.
But it has to
You should go see Career and Internship Services. They have resume writers back in there in the ARC on the second floor of the Culp Center. And they can turn
fix it and slip it in there somehow.
Homeschooling, how many kids? Three. Homeschooling 3 kids from, kindergarten to 17 graduation.
Years. I taught for 17 years.
Yeah, that's so go on a resume.
Teaching them helped me actually in college, go back to college. Mm-hmm. So I decided to come back full-time in 2009, all of 2009. I took a year off and then had another bout with cancer in 2008 again. 10 years to the month from the first time I had it. It was a different type of cancer. And so anyway.
So you're a 2-time cancer survivor.
Yeah, 2-time cancer survivor.
That's impressive.
Cervical cancer and breast cancer. And I also was diagnosed with MS in the year after I had surgery for the cervical cancer. So everything's, I'm good. Everything's clean.
Yeah.
And having MS is it's a challenge. It's a disability, but I'm a fighter.
Yeah.
So I got my grade point average up.
You're in an honor society.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I work hard, and it can be done, and you can overcome disabilities. Non-traditional students go anywhere from 23. My son is in college now. He's actually a non-traditional student too because he took a time out to make a mistake and get married, and it didn't work out. So he did graduate from Northeast, and so then he decided to come on over and go ahead and get his bachelor's.
So he transferred in for the
but he had a year off, so and he's 25 now. So we go to school together.
That's great.
And he helps me a lot in Alpha Sigma Lambda because if I can't,
yes, he does. Yeah. We love him.
We went out in the creek to get rocks, and he helped for the pet rocks.
The pet rocks were
so
great.
Funny.
I've got pictures of the pet rocks and some pet rocks and a bucket of rocks.
Right.
If anybody wants to make a pet rock, come see me because Sam got all these great rocks.
So I came back and I changed my major to business administration because at my age and I'm like, and my disabilities and stuff, there's not some of the things that those career placement tests say that I should be doing, like astronomy and geology and veterinarian. I mean, it's a little late for me to start these things. I can see I would be probably 70 years old and when I graduated at vet school or some veterinarian school. Yeah. So that's definitely out. And actually, business was the lowest on my career placement.
On your career scores.
So it was like, so you should not get into business.
We do that in our office, too. They're the tests that you take to
the CD3. I did it through your office.
Mm-hmm.
I had to do it for an extra credit. Well, I mean, I didn't have to, but I did it for extra credit for a class. So that was a CD3, and it said, don't go into business.
So that's what you did.
Yeah, well, I didn't know that until after I had started. Well, this was to my younger son's recommendation because he goes to Tusculum College. He started at Tusculum in the honors program at 16 because he was like this ambitious, competitive with his sister who was 18 months older than he was. And, of course, he got the start earlier because he was in that school environment and he was already reading because he was already picking it up. So, and he's very competitive and he caught up with his sister. He was only one grade behind her. Caught up with her and then graduated the same year she did. And she was 18 and he was 16. So he got into Tusculum.
Yeah.
I think he took the ACT one time when he had just turned 16, scored pretty good on it. And so Tusculum, they offered him the honors program. I said, he's not going to take the honors program. That's too much work. Yeah, sure, I'll do it. So then he walked on the football team over there. I mean, he's like this really go-getter. Yeah. Kind of like, I guess of all three of my children, he's the one that's most like me. Well, after the end of the first year, he did an internship. They paid internship in the admissions office at Tusculum all summer. Wow. And usually they didn't do that for freshmen, but it's a small school and they really like him over there. Yay. So he tells me, this summer I'm saying I'm going back to school in the summer of 2009. And he goes, Mom, you could do business. You could do this job. You could be vice president of admissions, in a school somewhere. You could really do this. He said, you get to get up and move around, but, you don't have to, climb mountains or anything like that. And I listened to him. And I said, okay, I think I will. Well, changing majors, and the business school here is a wonderful school. It's really highly accredited, and it's very intense and demanding. And I thought I was going to get to graduate, in December, and I found out I still have some 36 credit hours. Wow. Because there are so many classes that you have to take for business.
And then they have prerequisites.
And I see I'm messing around the first time, and then when I came back, I was just doing my BGS. I didn't concentrate on those specific core requirements that are core requirements, period, but they're also core requirements for the business school, like economics and all that. Yeah. So I've been going back, and
So you're playing catch up from changing majors.
Yes, and I'm catching up from it, and I'm getting through that, and I'm motivated because I'm getting ready to start life out on my own. I'm getting divorced too, and my goal is to graduate and get a good job as a business manager. And I feel confident because I've learned a lot, and I'm an ex-Marine. And
you're so hardcore.
I can be pushy. I mean, I will get a job. I'm confident because another thing is I'm willing to move anywhere in the United States or overseas if need be. I mean, because I have lived all over the United States, and I've only lived here in Tennessee now for the last 20 years on a steady basis. Yeah. So I raised my children in the country, but I'm ready to hit the city. Yeah. So I will go anywhere, and so I'm confident that I will find a job, and my goal is to get a good job, have insurance, which is a plus for me, which is why I'm... Yeah. And buy a house. Not a very expensive house, but a nice little house that I can live in by myself. And so I have these little specific goals.
And you're working towards it little by little?
Yeah, and sometimes it does seem overwhelming. I have to tell you, sometimes they've got good career counseling at the CULP. If you get like last semester, I got a little bit. I knew I never get depressed because I'm just this, like my younger son. We're just like you don't tell us no.
Yeah.
We're gonna go forward.
See it as a challenge.
Yeah, everything is a challenge, and we overanalyze everything. And but we will not be satisfied until we overcome this challenge. Do it or die is what I said. I'm going to finish school this time because every time I tried to start, something was sent me back. And some things I've been trying this semester. I've had some setbacks this semester. Again, and I'm like, no. And last semester, and then last summer, it was very hot and it affected my MS. But, I have worked around those things. And I've had a little problem this semester with at the end because everything gets, so crazy in the end.
Yeah.
Cramming. And it's like the teachers, they go along at this speed and then all of a sudden they start roller coastering, at the end. I mean, they always do it. You think, I say, they do this every year. You think they would speed up a little bit at the beginning and slow down, and stay at the same pace. But it never works that way. But that's just par for the course. Right. I mean, if you're a student, that's going to happen. It happens in all classes, and you just learn to live with it. Yeah. So, but I've had a little bit hard time here. Some major setbacks in life. And when you're an adult student, you definitely have, challenges that, and I'm not saying that young students don't have problems. So younger students, but some of them are still living at home. They're getting scholarships.
They have a different set of problems.
They have a different set of problems. And like with my children, mom's still here, Like my son's car broke down yesterday as he was driving home from Tusculum, and I'm broke down and I'm sitting in the Food Lion. So, if my car breaks down, I take care of it. But
that's when you call the kids. That's why you had them, Ryan.
Right, I have. Yeah. My oldest son, the one that goes here, Josh, he's like my rock, Yeah. So he's the one that's living at home again now, but he's itching to get on his own. So, and he was supposed to graduate in the spring and found out when he went to I told him he should have come to, because he's a non-traditional student. I said, if you have any friends, you need to go to the ARC. Yeah. Because I saw he's in criminal justice and he didn't get well advised. And I saw a sign up there the other day that said criminal justice advisement, had somebody's name under it. And so I told him, I said, okay, after he found out that he still had to take biology too, so he has to wait till August to graduate. Oh. He talked to a bunch of his friends in criminal justice, and they said the same. He's like, they went and checked and found out they still had classes they didn't know about. So he saved them all from, delaying their graduation. Yeah. So I told him, I said, if you have any adult student friends, tell them to go to the ARC.
Sometimes too, when you're in a specific major, it's easy to look at like, this is what's required for this major. But then if you're missing general ed requirements from the associate's degree level, it's not something that's so easy to pay attention to. Yeah. Exactly. So I think that actually does happen a lot. So it's worth knowing how to, keep up with your own, you're your own best advisor in any situation. And we have great university advisors who are always there to help with the ins and outs of the university system. But if you know what classes you've taken and you know how to access on the Gold Link your unofficial transcripts where you can go and look in what classes that you've already taken so that you can check off for yourself what requirements you're supposed to have. That way, there are no surprises. So you have to keep up. You have to keep very diligent records on what you're doing.
Yeah, that's a little hard. Yeah. And thank goodness for the business school because they have practically walk you through it. I mean, they sit you down, they have your little file, and they have all the classes that you've taken, and my transcript, my little schedule thing looks terrible because some of my classes were actually on microfiche or microfilm. They had to go dig in the archives.
Anymore?
It does because somewhere they had to dig the original. It was on the quarter system, so there are 2/3 of credits. And it's weird, and I'm like,
I remember learning how to use the microfiche in elementary school.
And we still used it.
That's how we did research.
I'm like, where's the microfiche now? I mean, it was kind of cool. You pull up the magazine and scroll through.
Yeah, I remember.
I'm like, okay, but I'm into the
those are the days.
I know. So anyway, I am actually only about halfway through with my business, and
you get a lot of help though through some of these times. You get the free tutoring that we have on campus.
Yes,
don't you?
I do, and there are only 3 requirements, and you only have to meet one of those requirements. And like be a first-generation student or something in your family, first person to go to college. Well, see, my son didn't get to use that because
you were here.
Something about I can't remember the requirements, but anyway, I did, and I had a really
This is not the tutoring that's free for everybody, no matter what, in the library.
This is the tutoring up in student support services on the 3rd floor of the Culp Center, and you go check them out and talk to them, and you fill out like an application. You have to meet one of their 3 requirements, and I don't remember what the other 2 requirements are because I just know that I'm
the one you met.
First generation student. They have an excellent disabilities office on the Culp. So if you do have problems, be sure to utilize this stuff.
Yeah.
I got, from my doctors, just a letter from my doctor, and I have like a handicap placard because as long as I can stay parked within the campus center buildings.
You get the good parking.
Yeah, well, it's not that easy.
Let's go be carpoolers. Come
Okay.
on, let's go be carpoolers.
But it's too hard for me. If I have to walk in the heat from way out one of those parking lots, then I don't make it to class because my walking gets more sluggish, and especially if I'm stressed or tired or it's hot. So, but through the disabilities office, I actually got they run you through there, and you actually can take a paper to your requesting special. Like I've got permission to like take a little longer on tests if I need to, or maybe take a test in a quiet room because I get distracted very easily. But so far, I haven't needed it. But
it's
I
nice
take
to
that.
know it's there.
Yes, and at least I don't use my disability as a crutch. I try, if I'm, when I'm parking, if I feel good, I don't take a handicapped parking place. If I feel like achy, and MS has a lot of hidden symptoms. People don't see it. I'm sure I always think, I'm parking this handicapped, and I get out, and I walk out, and people are like, well, look at that person driving, they don't look
she can walk.
And, they don't see the pain and they don't see the drop foot and the tripping and all that stuff, know, and they don't see the nerves on fire and, and stuff like that. So, the idea with MS is relapsing MS is just to keep the symptoms down and to, not have MS relapses, but you can still have symptom flare-ups because once the damage is done, those same symptoms flare up. So, yes, I do.
Well, I'm really glad to know that the disability services are great
excellent
here because I was a note taker in my undergrad in Florida at FSU. I worked for the disability service office, and I would take notes. And some of my students were, either they were ranging from quadriplegic to I sprained my wrist at work, and would get temporary note takers for those situations, for injuries. And then, and some of the more, students who couldn't write for whatever disability reason they have, would get note takers from the time they started to the time they graduate, which is always really helpful. And I love knowing. I know. I'm amazed at this year. For the first time, I have noticed several, not just, this is the first time I've really noticed that too. And I don't think it's been this way until this year because I pay attention to things like that. But people with vision impaired, you see them with the dogs. I've seen 3 or 4 different service dogs. And the first, month of school, there was always somebody walking and showing them, and now they're walking by themselves with their dogs. But they had somebody from the disability service, training them to work with the dog. Yes, and showing them around and telling them where. And this is just, that's a really plus. That is great, yeah. Because especially, I just got through with employment law, and one of our chapters was on disabilities and discrimination laws. Laws in the workplace, but this is a state institution, so it should, it's not actually, I don't guess. And they're not just stepping up to the minimum of the letter of the law. No, they're going above and beyond that, and that's wonderful. And they do that with the tutoring service too. I would not have made it in accounting when that was one of my core business classes that I couldn't even declare a business management major until I actually
took the
Successfully did
accounting,
it, yeah.
and I'm signed up for accounting too, which that finally got to declare my business major as business management, general business management. But the thing about it is the accounting. I tried to take it once, and I walked in. I'm like, oh, it's Greek. It's Chinese or something.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, it looked, and I couldn't take
Other
it.
people's money? What?
No, it's just like you walk in there and you're first like it's a foreign language. Unless you're a really good like people have to love accounting or they hate it. I mean, or they just because. And so I knew, and I signed up for the tutor. The second time I started to take it, I signed up for the tutor right away, and she was wonderful. She's an accounting major, and I just had my last tutoring session with her, and I have made A's and B's in that class.
Yay!
And I've actually understood it. I told her yesterday, I said, I mean, I like it. I said, not that I like it enough to be an accountant, but I like it as well.
But you like it enough to get through what you're going to need.
And I've seen the relevance in life, you know, and I'm sitting there, I'll go to looking at local business and going, I wonder what kind of system they're using, you know, the periodic system. I'll bet they're still, because they're still on the cash registers, you know, or the periodical or the, you know,
girl, see, Greek. I have no idea.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. You walk
and you
in that
get
class,
it now.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But people were like, in there struggling, and the last average on the last exam was 59.
And you were scared?
No, I wasn't.
You knew you had it under control?
I knew I had, you know, I knew that, because I have this tutor. And I'm like, and they're all like struggling, and I'm like,
get
a tutor. They have the tutoring labs too.
I swear by tutors. I got a math tutor when I went to take the GRE for grad school, you know, and I can't believe.
Don't be too proud.
I scored. No, tutors are brilliant. You know, a lot of students, you know, think that it may be, you know, well, admitting some sort of shortfall or whatever. But I've always been really good in school. But I knew I had to do really well on the GRE. So I got a math tutor for the math part because that's my problem is math. I'm not good at math at all. And so I actually scored 10 points higher on the math section than I did on the verbal.
Right. Well, see, and that's how I'm doing so well in accounting. And I missed I had to be gone, and I missed a in-class quiz, and I said to the professor, I said, you know, I had the quiz, but I said, was this a quiz? Can I turn it in? He said, no. He said, but you don't have to worry about it. You know, I mean, it's like, do your best. And
you
like
get a lot more flexibility from professors when they see that you're a hard worker.
You do.
Yeah.
You absolutely do. I mean, because, and you don't have to, you know, they're more understanding. I almost dropped my unemployment. My setback this semester was my dog was hit by a car. A 70-pound dog, gutter. And it fractured her spine and ruptured a disc, and she was in the UT Vet Hospital for 13 days in an ICU, and she can't walk yet. So they said it's going to be a long, slow process, and so it takes 2 people to walk her, and 3 times a day, which is an hour-long affair and she is recovering slowly, but then she overdoes it because she's so rambunctious and she feels good. She
doesn't believe she's sick.
No, you know, but it was a rough, that's why I don't go in and do anything. My life is like nothing going on, you know. Yeah. That's why school is almost over.
And puppy nurse.
And puppy nurse, exactly. And I have an ancient cat too. So I feel like I'm running a nursing home for animals.
Well, you know, I'm wondering now, though, you had said earlier you scored really high on veterinary, and now you're getting the business major. You know, vet offices need office workers too. I mean, you've already got the experience. You need to go see the resume guys up in the Culp Center. And ladies, guys.
Yeah.
And
I call everybody guys. Anyway,
yeah, me too. It's not a good idea, but yeah, go check it out and be like, look, this is what I've done, and it may not be paid official clock-in employment,
exactly, but this is my life.
But this is my experience, and they can turn your experiences into interesting stuff that's an employer will want to see.
Right. So, yeah, I know I have to work with somebody because the resume is like blank.
Yeah, no.
Except for I have the,
you do too much to have a blank resume. You just don't know how to write resumes, so go get help with that.
Yeah, I do. I have, just a standard resumes.
All of your volunteer work.
Well, and that's what I was saying.
These are valuable experiences.
My children and I, we had a bluegrass gospel, band. We did a little bit of country too, because Josh likes country, so he slip a little country in every once in a while. We had a family band for 5-6 years, and we traveled as far as Virginia, and we were on the Pick and Porch one time, which is over in Bristol, and on the radio. And we volunteered every month. We went to the couple of them, but one nursing home specifically in Irwin, Tennessee, and we volunteered every month. We haul all of our sound equipment in there, and it was just kind of
teared up mountain music style.
Yeah, definitely.
That's right.
So that was volunteer work. So we've done,
but that's a lot of work to organize an event, carry it out, produce it, make it happen.
Exactly.
Get people to come. Publicize it. That's all valuable job skills.
And the homeschooling is just teaching. And
what I wanted to tell you about that?
When I first started homeschooling around here, it was not. This part of the country was not very receptive to it. And then everybody's like, oh, you're just going to teach for a couple of years. And I'm like, no, I like it.
For the long haul.
I'm going for the long haul, and I'm going to do this right. So by the time they were in 11th to 12th grade, I was like, English classes, forget, you've already learned all the grammar that you need to know. We're going to do this college style. So read this, write, analyze it, taught, discuss. We'd have, so they read and a lot. And this is why my youngest son, and he's a creative writing major now. My kids are all doing what I wanted to do. Well, my daughter, I was in the military too, so she was in the military for a while, but my oldest son is in criminal justice, and when I got out of the Marines, I tried to get on with the LAPD.
Whoa!
I failed the vision test.
Oh.
Yeah, my vision, they would not require, but the stupid thing is, no, really, I'm sorry, LAPD, but I was stupid. They gave the psych exam and the written exam and the physical requirement exam all first. So you pass all that.
And you think you're good to go, but you don't.
And then you go take the physical, and they say, oh, your vision's too bad. Well, nowadays, I've learned that it's harder for them to do if it's corrective. It just depends. They can call it they call a BFOQ, qualified seeming like business necessity, like you have to be able to see, They can, but that's discriminatory sometimes. They have height and weight requirements in it, like it discriminates against a whole, like the women. If they say you have to be 5'3" at least, then that puts a whole bunch of women down. So a lot more police departments are more lenient now. Yeah, but this was back in.
Back when it was legal to discriminate against people.
It was legal then. So I was going to be a cop, and I couldn't do that. And I was going to be an LAPD too. Just think I would have been there for the Rodney King riots.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, there's always crazy stuff going on over there.
It was cool though. I lived in 2 blocks from Hollywood Boulevard.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. And then, so my son's doing that. He's in criminal justice. And then I have been writing ever since I was in 3rd grade. And my parents in that old-fashioned time period said, you can't make a living writing. So, and they didn't
It's not always about making a living. Sometimes it's about having a life.
See, they wouldn't help me go to college for that. Yeah. So, the things that I wanted to do, they wouldn't help me. So I struggled through and
now you're doing it yourself.
Yeah.
And
I'm
doing
just
what
in
you want to do.
business. But my youngest son, who walked on because according to state law, if you're homeschooled, you can't play high school football. And he wanted to play football so bad. He had played street football so much. Every player on just about every NFL team there was. You could just name a person and he would tell you what team they were and all that. And he was good at football. But he couldn't walk on as hard in football, so he couldn't walk on Division I like UT or places like that. So Tusculum is a Division II, and he walked on. He played for 2 years, but he's stubborn. He wanted to play running back. He's only 5'8", running backs are usually a bit bigger.
Yeah.
And he could do the juking really good. He was really fast. But he was like, "Arr!" So he took a couple of too many hits to the head, and they said that he'd already had too many concussions.
Oh.
So he's
really, going to quit.
He did. And he was always good at, writing. He just said he said his sister smoked him out of the water in high school. That's just because he has ADHD too, which we managed by teaching, and he never had to take medicine. And his first 2 years at college, he managed fine, but now he's a junior, and it just got to be too much. Mm-hmm. And he started having, panic attacks, so he's now having to take medicine for it. But he managed pretty well, but he's a little scattered. He has all those, can't focus, has to set clocks, for all his appointment times. And he's so involved, and he's a creative writing major now. Mm-hmm. Just won an award for the... a prestigious award they give away, and he won the poetry section. They have 4 winners, and
that's great.
I know, and he gets a certificate. And he was also he does so much. He was also in a band, so he's
working hard
like me. Mm-hmm. And it's just.
One thing you said earlier really struck me. You said that, homeschooling your kids helped you to be ready to go back to school.
Teaching is the best way to learn.
What I learned, exactly. You retain 90% of the information you teach somebody else.
Yes.
You know what?
Totally true.
Your accounting tutor is an accounting major, and she is probably even better after teaching you accounting.
She goes back and she looks sometimes, I can remember, and then you're right.
It's true.
And I found out, when I was in school, I got kicked out of the Algebra 2 class because I moved around so much. My dad was in the Army. And I moved from school to school. I went to 3 different high schools. So I went to one high school and took Algebra 1, and then I went to my sophomore year, and I signed up for the Algebra 2, and I walked in, and the teacher said, "You don't know what you're doing, get out." So I got out. So I never took Algebra 2, because back then, the requirements were really slack. I think you only had to have 16 credit hours to graduate or something. They didn't have all these neat courses like anatomy and psychology and all that when I went to school. Yeah. And so when I went to high school, that kind of gives away my age. So, but anyway, I'm just teasing. I'm not one of these people that cares about.
Oh, I am.
Young as you feel.
I am still 29. I will be 29 forever.
I'll just be whatever everybody thinks I am. So anyway, I had to teach Algebra 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. And I actually found a curriculum, because the curriculum I was using was terrible. I didn't understand it myself. And I found at Mr. K's a used, oh my gosh, I got this book for $3.75 and actually had the solution book with it. Yeah. It was a college beginning and intermediate algebra, which college beginner and intermediate is Algebra 1 and 2 for high school.
Yeah.
That book was so cool.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I can do algebra like crazy now. I actually like it. And my kids are like, I hate algebra. And I said, oh, but this is so much fun. Because I'm like, gee, just start teaching algebra.
See, I like geometry because it's pictures. I can see it.
Geometry is concepts, and I went.
Algebra is totally
I tell you, honest to goodness, I got a geometry curriculum, and my kids and I had to work our way through it. Yeah. Because sometimes I would go, okay, let me figure this out. And they're like, Mom. Okay, so they actually were better at it than I was. So they were teaching me.
All right, you guys teach me the geometry because
I've
heard that a lot of people are either algebra people or geometry people, hardly ever both. Mm-mm. And those people who are both are really like math whiz kids, Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not a math person. Yeah. But algebra was intriguing, and when it came time to take problem stats is a core requirement, and you're taking it. Yeah. Don't let it scare you.
It's not that bad.
But everybody's like, my son took it at Northeast State, and it's a little easier there, and Josh, the older one, and he says, I'm like, what is it? I don't know, I can't explain it. He said, it's just, and he was trying to explain this, it's not like math.
It's a different kind of
So
math.
I took it, and he still teases me because I made an A and an E and a C.
Oh.
And he's like, I hate you.
He needed to teach it to you, and it would raise his grade.
He couldn't. I said, you gotta tell me about this. I don't understand it. So I'm taking business quant 2, and it is probs and stats on steroids.
Statzilla?
Statzilla.
Oh, tough times. Yeah, I'm glad I'm done with that. I am a qualitative researcher. I'm just qualitative. Tell me the story. Don't care about the numbers. I just don't do numbers.
Me neither.
I see the value in it. I can appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
I will outsource for that. That's somebody else's job.
That's exactly what I said. In management, I will make sure that I get a job in management where I don't have to do data analysis.
Mm-hmm.
Let somebody else do the data analysis and the accounting.
Cannot do the numbers.
So, I'll just be the boss.
And especially in the social sciences, like my undergraduate degrees in sociology, and, in social sciences, there is a lot of value to quantitative analysis.
There is, especially in business.
In what I'm doing and my purposes is like this, and there's no way you can quantify a conversation. Or, you know what I mean? Like, exactly. I'm more into interview and case study, story collection, research. I'm all about that. Mm-hmm. But not so much the stats.
So what I was saying earlier was that my children are fulfilling my dreams, but I'm in business and I'm going to get a job. That's my goal. I mean, you get your life changes. That's one thing you're going to find out. And when you're older, you come back to school. Not older, I won't say that, but non-traditional student. You come back to school, and no matter what age, you come back to school and you have these life responsibilities that you didn't have before when you blew it the first time, if you did or if you didn't come at all. Things break down, you have to take care of it. You have still, financial responsibilities. You have a lot of people, family responsibilities. A lot of adult students have children. Mm-hmm. And I know what that was like going to school. And at that time, adult student, when I came back in 94, the adult student population was not that big. Mm-hmm. And so my kids could be wild at home, but when they came out, I would bring them to school. I would tell them, you have to be quiet. So I'd bring them, and they'd sit in class with me sometimes and draw. And they'd draw the art and art history, and all that. And I was amazed but they knew, because like I said, being an expert, they teased me about this. I did not realize that I was pretty strict, but we had a lot of fun. I mean, I said, guys, don't you remember the good stuff? We went to almost every hands-on historic sites in Tennessee when we were studying Tennessee state history and all that. I mean, I believed in the academic aspect of their learning, but it was so integrated with every aspect of life. Right. So, I mean, if we decided the famous thing was we'd be out somewhere on a day when school was going on. Why aren't you kids in school? Somebody would undoubtedly say, no, are you out of school today?
This is my school.
This was the most common thing back when they were in grade school, and that because it was so unaccepted here, it was part of the country. More rare too, right? And there's people like, "Oh, is school out today?" And I'm like, "Our school is out today," And it was
we're on a field trip.
Yeah, exactly. we are, and we did so much. So they are fulfilling my dreams, and I have a new dream. Yeah. Good for you. And they're working on getting self-sustainable slowly. Yeah. One by one. And that will be good.
And then by the time they're self-sustainable, they'll be able to take care of you.
That's what Josh says. I said, which one of you is going to take care of your mom when she gets old?
That's right. And that's another thing. Because that's why we have children.
A lot of adult students I've come into contact with, they are dealing with taking care of their elderly parents. Mm-hmm. And so it is for adult students sometimes, and children, and I'm not saying that it always happens, but the longer you live on Earth, the greater the chance of having some breakdowns physically. Yeah. I mean. Yeah.
I think it's called the sandwich
Aging.
generation now. The adults who are raising kids and taking care of their parents.
That is very common.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of energy and a lot of work to be able to pull that off and go to school
and make good grades. And so many people in the Honor Society, the ASL, Alpha Sigma Lambda, are in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
They have small kids. They have parents.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. And obviously they're all doing well or they wouldn't be in the Honor Society.
They're in an Honor Society. I know. And I think a lot of that, besides that, they, if they do have a big family, they're taking care of their kids, they're taking care of their parents, they have that support network and they have supportive family. That's always a big help. And there's so many support services here on campus that are there to just kind of help through those things, so that you're not alone, really.
Yeah, I have found that that's true. And even though I seem to find time for volunteering for Alpha Sigma Lambda.
You volunteer more than anyone.
But see, that's my fun. I know, but that's what I said. That's my fun.
It is fun,
relaxing thing to break up the monotony and the grind of school.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, a lot of times people don't have time for these things. But if you can manage some kind of, I'm also in the Criminal Justice Society, but I don't get there to all the meetings now.
Yeah.
I have to be at home with my dog during that time. They usually have the meetings now.
Mm-hmm.
So I've missed the last 2 meetings, but still, if you can join something or participate in something, and even though you're squeezed for time, and just give up a few hours or something,
Yeah,
during the
it
semester.
comes down to a few hours a semester spread out over the course of it.
But it really does improve your outlook. So you get so frustrated with the school. I mean, everybody's like, I hate the school. I just want to get out of here.
I need a break.
And, but it gives you something. And there are so many events then, and it's fun.
ETSU has over 200 student organizations.
I know.
If it's out there, you can find it. And if you can't find it, make it happen, because it's easy to go through the process with the source of creating a new student organization. So if you wanted to have the Save the Crazy ETSU Squirrels Club, you can. Our squirrels are legendary. Crazy. I was on the way here, and one jumped 3 feet in the air right in front of me. I have seen them do everything. It's wild. Do you know what my children used to love to do? When this was, I took one summer course one time in. It was a storytelling course, but what we had to do was so much fun. It was a summer course. I took it for fun. We had to pick up 14 children's books, picture books, and read through them and actually write a little 1-line or 2-line synopsis and rate them as far as how they would be for storytelling, not for a book, but for performance. And it was so much fun. I love reading children's books because I took courses in writing for children's literature before. That's another thing I did. I've got a basic and advanced certificates from a writing school for taking. That's great. Courses for writing children's literature. So I love to read. I mean, I still have all my children's picture books on my library shelf, and people are like, I'm sorry, book drives or not, I cannot part with those books. Get rid of your books, man. Some of them are signed by the authors. There was an author that came to ETSU in the auditorium, and I talked to her, and she was encouraging me, saying, don't give up on being a writer, because you can do that after, kids graduate. Well, I'm in school because I have a different agenda in life. I'm trying to get self-supportive, but I can still write someday. Yeah. But it's just, I have all these children's books, so I did this course, and they would come with me to deliver the books back to the lady who was in charge of it, and they would build these little, out in the field, out in the spots of grass between where the clock tower is now, the clock tower that chimes was not there then, okay? So, and in that area especially, because we'd park there, they would build these little, out of sticks, these little triangular, little square things, build them up like little bowls, I guess you would say. Yeah. And they would fill them with acorns. They would go find berries, or, dogwood berries, and fill them for the squirrels, just like the squirrels couldn't
go and run around
forage
and
for
be there.
themselves. Yeah.
Yeah,
Send the kids to do the foraging.
Yeah, so they was so cute with those little,
That's
little
great.
squirrel things they built. And we come back and they'd be empty
gone.
and scattered.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I said, well, your squirrels got them.
The squirrels came. They got their
I have
present.
never seen so many squirrels except for the VA.
The VA across the street. Yeah. This area, I think, is legendary across the country. I heard about the squirrels before I ever moved here.
Really? I can imagine, because I have never seen so many, and they do the craziest things.
Yep.
And there was a hawk the other day, and there was a squirrel's nest up in a tree. And this hawk, I know that squirrel was in that nest. It was when it was still colder, so it was back still in winter.
Yeah.
And that squirrel was, and that hawk was, everybody was standing all around watching that hawk.
Oh,
He was desperately trying to get that squirrel out of that nest.
Oh, no.
He never did. He finally gave up.
Yeah, we got some crazy kamikaze squirrels around here.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, Sam, we've got to wrap it up. But thank you so much for joining us today.
And I just want to encourage everybody who's coming back to school, stick with it, get involved.
Go for it.
Just, go for it full force.
Yeah.
You can do it. They can do it. I know they can. And if you get down, you've got people to help you.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Great advice. Thank you so much for joining us. You've been watching NTV. Non-Traditional Voices is your podcast program where you can tell your story, brought to you by Adult Commuter and Transfer Services here at ETSU. Thank you so much.